Rich Eisen set to join us, host of NFL Game Day Morning, the Rich Eisen Show on DirecTV's audience network that follows this program. I was just talking about Tim Tebow and the Eagles, and of course everybody saw that one coming, right, Rich? That you could see Tim Tebow as the third quarterback for Chip Kelly?
Yeah, and he's using that as a trading chip with Sam Bradford and DeMarco Murray and the would-be contract of Frank Gore to move up to get Mariota.
I like it.
All of it together to get up to 2. He's crazy like that, Chip Kelly. You know, nobody believes what he's doing is actually what he wants to do.
I know.
Which is have Sam Bradford be his starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Nobody can believe that. But guess what? That's what he wants, and that's what he's going to do. And, next week the owners meet in Arizona, and that's usually when the league announces a couple of games on the schedule. The Thanksgiving games, and, of course, the game that you'll be at with the National Broadcasting Company in New England, the first Thursday night of the season. And you take a look at the schedule and who's in-house for New England on their home schedule, and the Eagles are sitting right there.
Ooh.
And, I mean, what better way to start things off? I mean, the Steelers are another team that are on the Patriots schedule in New England next year, and that would be also a nice, juicy way to start. Steelers-Patriots does have a touch of a rivalry to it. But how would you not want to put Chip Kelly's Eagles, revamped, new-look Eagles, out there with DeMarco Murray and Sam Bradford and whoever they draft at 20th overall, because that's probably where they're going to be. And why wouldn't you want to see that? It's just fascinating.
That's
Certainly if he does have Tebow as the third stringer there. Right?
Yeah, I could see the Eagles opening up that Thursday night in Foxborough.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole country would be glued to that, I think.
Here was another thing that I learned yesterday, that the Saints might be in store for Marcus Mariota as well.
Well, I mean, you take a look at the golden rule for running backs being once they hit 30, it's different. You take a look at quarterbacks, that age is 35, and Breeze is right there. And Sean Payton and the Saints have to do just what everybody does at the end of a run of a great quarterback, a potential future Hall of Fame quarterback, is when do you start turning the page? When do you start looking to the future to win games later on in that career? And that's obviously a very thorny issue there in New Orleans, with Drew Brees saying he thinks he could play till he's in his early to mid 40s.
Yeah.
So again, you take a look at teams that are in the back half of the draft of the first round, or middle to back half, and who have multiple picks to try and get up. Because I believe it's got to be a top 5 for Mariota. I do not believe he gets past the Jets at 6. I just don't think so, because somebody's going to make a trade, even if it's Washington at 5. There's a lot of talk about Mariota could go to Washington, which, by the way, went ahead and re-signed Colt McCoy, and Kirk Cousins is coming back, and RG3. So they're going to do it again with the same 3 guys for Jay Gruden this fall. You throw Mariota in there, I just don't see that. Certainly when they have to make a decision on RG3's contract, they're probably not going to pick up that $16 million a year option for next year. So this is going to be a walk year for RG3. Why in the world would you throw Mariota in the middle of all of that? Who knows? So you take a look around and say, who's going to have the firepower to leap up into the top 5? And you take a look, and the Saints are sitting there now with 2 first-rounders because of the Jimmy Graham trade. So you put 2 and 2 together. I just don't know if it's 4 yet for Mariota to be the guy to fill in for Breeze right now. Drew Brees still has some very productive years left in him.
But you know where I see Drew Brees playing?
Where's that?
Philadelphia.
So
everybody is going there.
Let me connect the dots then. So DeMarco Murray, Sam Bradford, because clearly Chip Kelly doesn't really want Sam Bradford. He only gave up a second-round pick next year for him to get a trading chip.
And he only took DeMarco Murray because he was embarrassed because he lost Frank Gore and people were saying mean things about him, right?
Well, don't forget Ryan Matthews, right? Don't forget him there. That they just signed just because they had to, because they brought him in.
Yeah.
Put them all together. And then flip them to New Orleans for the 2 first-rounders.
Yeah, sure.
And Breeze.
Yeah.
And then you get Mariota and Breeze.
Yeah.
Just because, and then you send Breeze to Eugene for a couple of months just so he can have a little touch of the Oregon on him. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Now, how do you feel that Jameis Winston not going to the draft?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think this came from Jameis Winston or the NFL?
Jameis Winston's dad says that right now that's the plan, and of course you always have to, whenever there's information out there certainly in the NFL media world, it's in most media world, but certainly in the NFL media world, you have to see the language of the information man or woman, the infused language of expects to, plans, because plans change, Dan, as you know. Right now, the plan is that he's not going to come to the draft. But if it looks like he's the first overall pick in the draft, then the Bucs will definitely say, "Hey, Jameis, why don't you fly there? We'll set you and your family up. Choose a restaurant in Chicago. It's yours, and you can have a draft party to celebrate you being the first overall pick right after that."
Do you think the NFL wants Jameis Winston there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, why wouldn't they want the first overall pick in the draft to be standing there? This whole idea of, the scar of Ray Rice and what's happened with Adrian Peterson is on the NFL to the point where it's possible that Jameis Winston might have done something that he was accused of but never charged for, and now he's the first overall pick in the draft. The NFL wouldn't want him around. Who puts those two and two together and comes up with 4? I don't understand it.
I would think the NFL, look, they're still going to get publicity. And the story that he's going to be there. Now, you can say, well, what's a better story? But I think the NFL doesn't want to be left at the altar there by the number 1 overall pick who says, I'd rather spend time at home with my family having a barbecue in Alabama.
Well, on our show yesterday, we came up with the plan that it should be like the Oscars, that somebody accepts for him. And we should choose somebody from Florida State. So we workshopped it. We first went Burt Reynolds to accept the jersey on his behalf, and then went Norm Macdonald's version of him as Turd Ferguson to go up there and accept the number 1 jersey on behalf of Jameis Winston. I mean, it is just absurd, Dan, in all honesty, that the league would not want the number 1 overall pick in the draft there, that the commissioner would announce the pick and then put the Titans on the clock. Why in the world would the league want that? Makes no sense to me. If he wants to be with his family, then great. Do we really think that he met with the commissioner last week and they said, hey, listen, you have too many red flags, Jameis, for us to be able to handle this as a league. In case this becomes even uglier, you can't be at the draft. We can't have you stand next to the commissioner. So let's come up with something where you want to be with your family. Do we really believe that happened? I can't imagine that is on planet Earth, that the league would absolutely want the number 1 overall pick in the draft standing there.
Yeah, but this is a league that suspended Terrell Pryor before he got into the league. So they are aware of what happens in college and what it means for the league, that Pryor, should the NFL have suspended him for what happened in college?
The NFL is going to own Jameis Winston as the number 1 overall pick in the draft, whether he's standing next to the commissioner smiling, holding up a newly pressed Bucs jersey with his name on it or not. Right?
There you go. Chris Borland's story, I think we keep wanting it to mean more, but what does it mean?
I think what it means is a young man making a very personal decision, and one that he definitely should have made if that's the way he feels, that there is certain mindset is required to play football, and being around this sport and seeing some of the greatest players, current and past, and being fortunate enough to be around them, talk to them, interview them, hang out with them, it takes a certain breed of individual to play this game. And by that I mean it is a violent game. You have to take the risk to go out there. You know what can happen when you suit up any given Sunday, Thursday, Monday, what have you. And you have to put aside the idea that you could get hurt, and that you could get hurt for life and suffer something that years from now may come home to roost and affect your ability to live. And you have to put that aside and not think about it. You have to. It's a violent game. That's exactly what the risk you're undertaking. It's possible that you could live a long life and have no effects. It's possible that you could live a much shorter life and have effects. And Chris Borland, if he is at the end of the season reading League of Denial, as he said he was, and hiding the book in the locker room, then he's made the right decision to get out of football. And more power to him. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the end of the league, or he's grandstanding to make a statement that he's so highfalutin that the rest of the league isn't smart enough to take on their own behalf. It's a personal decision made by him. More power to him. Go back, get a degree, be as successful, and live as happily as you wish. That is my take on Chris Borland.
Rack him. He is out. Who's on the show?
Troy Aikman is on the show. We'll be talking about, Chris Borland with him and DeMarco Murray with the Hall of Famer. The head coach of Hampton basketball, Edward Joyner Jr., will be on as he gets set to take on Kentucky.
He called Jesus after the game, and Jesus didn't pick up. Seton, do you have Coach talking? He called Jesus after the win last night, and he didn't answer there on the podium.
He did not, but I guess he's calling us. So,
this is how it sounded last night.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Hold on. I told you I had Jesus on speed dial, so, hey, Jesus, first of all, you can't play, so I ain't worried about you being hot. Okay, fine. They want to know how much of a mountain and what our odds are. Hello? I guess he'll get back to me, so I'll get back to you. But it's a heck of a mountain. You know what I'm saying? And we know that. So, we're going to go try to play. We're going to go compete and let the chips fall where they may. They're a great team, and we know that. But, hey, it is where it is. We're happy to be here, and we're going to go fight tooth and nail. You can believe that.
Yeah, he got his 15 minutes there, had a little fun.
He sort of ran the gamut on what you can do as a coach in answering a question, which is on one end, drop the cliche of it is what it is.
I don't know what that means.
And then go on the other spectrum and speed dial Jesus.
And when you bring in JC, you're bringing in JC.
And somewhere in between will be his conversation with me on the show today. And Layla Ali will be here actually talking tennis. She's into youth tennis. The USTA has hired her as a spokeswoman for youth tennis. And Jonathan Kite from Two Broke Girls and phone calls. That's today's program.
Awesome. Thank you, Rich.
You got it, DP.
That's Rich Eisen, NFL Network and DirecTV's Audience Channel 239, right after this program.